were heard in the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv early Friday as Russian forces pressed on with a full-scale invasion that resulted in the deaths of more than 100 Ukrainians in the first full day of fighting and could eventually rewrite the global post-Cold War security order. After using airstrikes on cities and military bases, Russian military units moved swiftly to take on Ukraine's seat of government, its largest city, in what US officials suspect is a brazen attempt by Russian President Vladimir Putin to dismantle the government and replace it with his own regime. Ukrainian leaders pleaded for help as civilians piled into trains and cars to flee, and hotels in Kyiv were being evacuated amid early indications of an assault. Ukrainian forces braced for more attacks after enduring for hours a Russian barrage of land and sea-based missiles, an assault that one senior US defense official described as the first salvo in a likely multi-phase invasion aimed at seizing key population centers and decapitating Ukraine's government. Already, Ukraine officials said they had lost control of the decommissioned Chernobyl nuclear power plant, scene of the world's worst nuclear disaster. In unleashing the largest ground war in Europe since World War II, Putin ignored global condemnation and cascading new sanctions. With a chilling reference to his country's nuclear arsenal, he threatened any country trying to interfere with consequences you have never seen, as a once hoped for diplomatic resolution now appeared impossible. Russia has embarked on a path of evil, but Ukraine is defending itself and won't give up its freedom, Zelenskyy tweeted. His grasp on power increasingly tenuous, he pleaded Thursday for even more severe sanctions than the one imposed by Western allies and ordered a full military mobilization that could last 90 days. Zelenskyy said in a video address that 137 heroes, including 10 military officers, had been killed and 316 people wounded. The dead included all border guards of the Zmiinyi Island in the Odesa region, which was taken over by Russians. He concluded an emotional speech by saying that the fate of the country depends fully on our army, security forces, all of our defenders. He also said the country had heard from Moscow that they want to talk about Ukraine's neutral status. US President Joe Biden announced new sanctions against Russia, saying Putin chose this war and had exhibited a sinister view of the world in which nations take what they want by force. Other nations also announced sanctions or said they would shortly. It was only about naked aggression, about Putin's desire for empire by any means necessary, by bullying Russia's neighbors through coercion and corruption, by changing borders by force, and ultimately by choosing a war without a cause, Biden said. Blinken said in a television interview that he was convinced that Russia was intent on overthrowing the Ukrainian government, telling media that Putin wants to reconstitute the Soviet Empire. Fearing a Russian attack on the capital city, thousands of people went deep underground as night fell, jamming Kyiv's subway stations. At times, it felt almost cheerful. Families ate dinner, children played, adults chatted, people brought sleeping bags or dogs or crossword puzzles, anything to alleviate the waiting and the long night ahead. But the exhaustion was clear on many faces and the worries. Nobody believed that this war could start and that they would take Kyiv directly, said Anton Mironov, waiting out the night in one of the old Soviet metro stations. I feel mostly fatigue. None of it feels real. The invasion began early Thursday with a series of missile strikes, mainly on key government and military installations, quickly followed by a three-pronged ground assault. Ukrainian and US officials said Russian forces were attacking from the east towards Kharkiv, Ukraine's second-largest city, from the southern region of Crimea, which Russia annexed in 2014, and from Belarus to the north. News Desk, Kaumudy Global.